Okay, so first research project for you guys in Science 10 here, so you need to listen really carefully to the expectations. And when you are putting this together, okay, and kind of finalizing it, editing, whatever, it would not be a bad idea to take, it'll probably be about 5 or 8 minutes, this podcast, to listen to this again and make sure that you have included everything that was mentioned. All right, because what happens to most people on this kind of a project is they simply fail to include things. All right, it isn't that they didn't know how to do it or that they couldn't do it. They simply forget to put parts in or to do parts in the proper format, and they lose marks as a result, which is a silly thing to lose marks over. Okay, especially since you could listen to this and be reminded of them. All right, so in this project, okay, you're to examine a couple of things. Okay, mostly you are looking at, from at least a scientific point of view, the effect of long-term exposure to a toxic chemical of your choice. All right. If you think that your topic choice is maybe a little outside on the edge, maybe run it by me just in case. Okay. So this includes not only the health effects of the chemical on the people who are exposed, okay, but also the societal effects. What is the effect of this thing to you or me who may not be exposed to it? All right. Prime examples of that would be things that are, let's say, narcotic in nature. Okay, so things that are like drugs. They're toxic chemicals, obviously, but if you're not using them, how do they still affect you as a member of society? Okay, this is a half and half kind of a project here. Half of it is the scientific description and all that kind of stuff of the chemical and its effects and what it is, and the other half is how is it affecting Joe Blow, Canadian taxpayer? All right. How is it affecting society as a result of whatever its chemical nature is? Does everybody follow me there? Okay, half and half, equal parts. One of the big mistakes on this is everybody focuses in on the scientific part, and then they have like 2 sentences at the end. I think this chemical is really bad. You know, not good enough. Okay, it probably is really bad, but you need to tell me why in the societal part of it. So half and half. Okay. All right. So societal costs are things like healthcare, taxation, government regulations, etc., and the impacts of people using or being exposed to this chemical. That could be things like behavioral costs, addiction treatments, emotional impacts, possibly incarceration, all right, things like that, right? I mean, if you're spending time in jail, who pays for that? Yeah, people who aren't in jail pay for that, okay? You and me, that's what comes off your taxes. That pays for big concrete walls and armed guards. Okay, that's you and I's taxpayer money. All right, other things that we pay for, okay, and this is if it's a toxic chemical that someone might be exposed to through no fault of their own. All right, MRIs, MRI machines and things like that. I mean, if you need an MRI, do you have to wait? There's a pretty long wait unless you're like near death for an MRI. All right, or for other kinds of specialized imaging and things like that. There's a pretty long wait for those kind of things because there aren't a lot of them around. Okay, our taxpayer money funds the building of facilities where MRIs can be housed and used and things like that. All right, so those are all societal impacts. Okay, question? Yes. Okay. I don't know if that's here or there for this, but okay. All right. So the scope of this paper is to go beyond an examination of the health issues to look at the societal effects as well. So some suggestions for your project could be health hazards due to excessive consumption of alcohol and nicotine or other drugs, or exposure to toxic substances. Okay, this has been a big one that's been kind of a joke. Mercury in amalgam dental fillings. Okay, so if you had like I have one silver filling. Okay. It's made of amalgam, which is some metals, and one of the metals in it is mercury, and people are like, a couple of guys in the States got filthy rich on this scam where they were taking out people's amalgam fillings because they were scaring them to death about how much mercury was in them. There's more mercury in a can of tuna than there is in an amalgam filling. Okay, and the big thing about an amalgam filling is it doesn't dissolve. So if there's mercury in it, it doesn't get into you. It's just there. Okay, so it was this huge scam, and they ended up actually going to jail for fraud over it because they had just scammed all these people. Okay, radon buildup in homes. Okay, things like that. So you could look at things that could be in there. That's part of society, part of sort of our societal exposure to certain types of things. Things that might be in our food that we that we know about but aren't really that concerned about, but maybe should be. Okay, things like that. So environmental concerns related to the handling, storage, and disposal of some of these things like heavy metals, strong acids, flammable gases, or any other topic that you have interest in. So the outline for your project is this. You report first on the chemical nature of your toxin. Okay, so you tell me, is it, what type of chemical is it? Is it molecular? Is it organic? Is it ionic? Okay, what kind is it? Right? What is it about its chemical structure that makes it toxic? Okay, what does it do to your body that makes it toxic? Okay, how does it cause damage to human tissue? What are its toxic effects? So what exactly does it do to you? Does it cause, neurological effects, or is it a carcinogen, or is it a teratogen, causes birth defects, or something like that? Okay, and then what are the symptoms a victim may exhibit? So what are the signs that this person has this effect going on in their body? All right, that's the first half. The second half, the societal effects. Things to explore here, whether the exposure to the toxin is by choice, or in the workplace, or in nature, okay, or some other thing that, maybe not part of that. Okay, what are the costs? Don't give me a dollar figure, because you'll never find that. Okay, you're never going to find that, the toxic effects of aspartame cost this many $1 billion a year. You're never going to find that. Okay, but tell me in general, okay, do these people spend a lot of time in the hospital? If they do, as a result, their business, wherever they're normally employed, is having to pay out extra money because they're having to replace them or pay for their sick leave or whatever. Okay, for example, if I miss a day of work here as a teacher, all right, I still get paid on a sick day, but not only are they paying my salary, but who else do they have to pay? They have to pay my substitute. Okay, and if I had to go to the doctor and do all that, that comes out of my benefits. Okay, and I pay for those, but okay, all that stuff still costs money. It costs the school money for me to be away. All right, and it's the same for any other work. If you're away, it costs your company money to not have you there doing your normal job. Yes, but that's more of a government thing as opposed to a school thing. Okay, essentially in Alberta, you can get, I think it's 9 months maternity leave. Okay, anybody can. Yeah. All right, so opinion. Based on what you learn about this toxin, what are your feelings on it? Should it be banned? Should there be greater restrictions or regulations put on its use, disposal, etc.? So kind of like maybe a last couple sentences would be this. All right, so half on the nature of the chemical, half on the societal effects, okay, and then a little bit here as an opinion at the end. Now, anytime you do research, you need to cite your references. Okay, you need to tell me where you got your information, and there's a certain format in which you do that. All right, simply writing down www.istolethestuffiwrotefromthiswebsite.com is not good enough. Okay, you must cite the author's name and all this kind of stuff. So this is what it should look like right here. Okay, so down below here in this paragraph, right here, okay, this is what, if you cite from a website, you need to get. The author's name. All right, so last name first, first name last. McIlroy, Ann. All right, and then the date that this was published or put onto the website. Obviously, hopefully it's not this old. Okay, October 28, 1995. This is older than you guys. Okay, the title of the article. So Vive le Quebec, Vive le Canada, and then the name of the website, the Daily News. All right, not the www. whatever, not the URL. Okay, the name of the website. Then you'll give me the URL, so http www. whatever. Okay, the day you accessed it, right? So that's what, September 16th, 2013, and this project should have at least 5 references. Okay, a lot of times it is difficult to get all of this information. Right? For some reason, people don't always want to publish their names when they put stuff on the internet. If they don't, treat it as suspect. All right? If the author's name is not included, why isn't it? Okay? Because it could be Crackpot Joe's website about crack. Okay? Yeah, it might be. All right? And then it's probably not all that trustworthy a website because he's a guy who lives in his mom's garage and hacks the internet all day. All right? Make sure that a place you go is at least somewhat credible. All right, university websites are always good. Government websites are always good. Things like that that have some credibility and some accountability, most important, right? Because there's lots of crackpots out there that just want to write about whatever they think and they just rant. You know, people just like to rant on the internet, and so you have to watch out for those kind of things because they'll be very convincing because they'll have an emotional argument with absolutely no scientific validity to it, right? Okay, so you got to watch out for those kind of places. So do your best to find author's name. Okay, this is if you can't find the date that particular article was posted, it's the last day the site was updated. All right, and that you can find on just about any website. Okay, name of the article, like I said, name of the website, and the URL, date you accessed it. You got to have at least 5 of those. If you cite from a book, okay, then it looks a little bit different. It looks like the one above here, right, where you'd have the author's name, the name of the article or book, okay. If it came from a magazine, name of the magazine, volume and number, okay, year it was published, and the pages you used. All right, but generally people do this mostly electronically. All right, questions on that? Okay, that's 5 marks out of 25, is citing your references properly. Oftentimes, especially on this first one, people lose almost all 5 because they either forget to do it entirely, or all they do is write down for their cited references www.ididn'tlistentomrcoderre.com, www.becauseididn'tlistentomrcoderre.I-lost-5marks.com, www.I-will-never-do-this-again-and-lose-5marks.com. Follow me? Okay, make sure you include all of that information. URLs are not good enough. And it'll do it in, yes. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, if you don't have that, this is the way to do it. You have this reference right with you. Okay? All right. Now, another 5 marks. Easy 5 marks. Planning. All you have to do is this. Okay, I'm looking for a couple of things in planning. Maybe a thought web, but not a thought web all by itself. Okay, so you have maybe a thought web and then kind of a skeleton outline. I'm going to talk about these things in this paragraph, these things in the second paragraph, this in the third paragraph, etc. Okay, or maybe a timeline as to when you're going to do things. So you'd say, today I'm going to start researching some things and do my planning. And tomorrow I'm going to start putting my first few paragraphs together. And on Friday I'm going to maybe have Mr. Coderre look this over for me and see how it's going so far, or something like that. But have a timeline. Okay, that always shows that you're thinking ahead, right? And knowing, or at least planning what you're going to do a little bit. Okay, so make sure you have planning there. It's 5 marks. Okay, big 5 marks. You don't want to lose that. Okay, and then lastly, it's kind of an overall thing. Sorry, I'll show you the. So the format here, project has a range of formats. You can do a PowerPoint presentation. Okay, that's fine. If you want to do that, I'm okay with that. Essays are fine as well. Okay, if I wouldn't do a movie on this one because you're doing this one individually. There are a couple along the way where you will work with some partners. Otherwise, a movie's way too much work for one person. All right. Look at those. Posters aren't going to be good enough. Make sure that you've got some visual aids, whether you're doing a written essay or whether you're doing a PowerPoint presentation. There should be some pictures or graphs or something like that along the way. Okay. It's going to require some work beyond the 2 class periods I'm giving you. You will only get the 2 class periods I'm giving you in class. Okay. Your project needs to be between 800 and 1,000 words. Now, you can't do a very good job of this in 800 words. Right? Realistically, you cannot do a very good job of this in 800 words. 1,000 is really like, you can kind of do it well in 1,000. If you get to 1,200, that's fine too. You probably did a really good job. If you're handing in to me a 3,000 page word thing, I am not reading all of it. Okay, I don't have that kind of time. Okay, I will read to where I think about 1,500 or 2,000 words is, and I will stop. Okay, because obviously you've just gotten like really verbose and you're doing way too much talking. All right. Yeah, so that's what you should be looking at. That includes if you're doing a PowerPoint. The word count still counts. How do you do a word count in PowerPoint? You copy and paste all of your words into Word and let it do a word count. PowerPoint won't do a word count for you. I don't know why, but it won't. Okay. So the 5 areas you're being marked in. The smart ink isn't very smart. It always puts it in the wrong place. Okay, so initiating planning, 5 marks. Okay, that has to do with the thought web, the timeline, the skeleton outline that you have. Okay, whatever. Okay, 5 marks for that. You'll get 5 marks for your analysis and interpretation. That's basically the scientific nature of it and the societal part of it, all that kind of stuff. Okay, goes in there. Your communication. When I read it, does it sound like a 15, 16-year-old wrote it? Okay. Or is it one long sentence with no breaks? Or are there tons of spelling and grammatical errors that are making it hard for even me to stumble through it. Okay, things like that. That's your communication. How well do you get your point across to me? Okay, 5 marks for that. Research and investigation, that's 5 marks for your citing references. Okay, is your bibliography in the right format? Have you got the minimum number of references, etc., etc.? And then overall, when you hand it in to me, does it look good, or does it look like your dog used it for a chew toy? Okay, does it have the pictures you were supposed to have? Is it long enough? All of that kind of stuff, all part of overall. So 25 marks. Okay, any questions on that? Cool. We are going right now to the library. Yes, tomorrow to the library as well. No, you'll still have a quiz tomorrow. Yep, and I'll post it later on today. Okay? All right, well, let's go then.